Hello friends, welcome to GK Sports India for this review of the fifth and final test of the Anderson-Tendulkar trophy that ended at the Oval on Monday. What a fitting result to the series and what a fitting finale to this series that every single test match went into the fifth day with India winning the fifth test by just a single shot, 6 runs, and leveling the series 2-all. And reviewing this test match is our own K. Srinath, former player and currently a BCCI umpire. Sri, welcome to the Kumbi-Gikku Show, review of the Oval Test match. Could it have ended in any better way? I, for one, thought of a tie, but then Mohammad Siraj, he just was simply outstanding, gave it his all throughout the 5 test matches. And on the final day, with India needing 4 wickets on the 5th day, England needing 37 more runs, it was Siraj and Siraj all the way. Welcome, Sri.
Thanks, Zico. You nailed it in the opening line saying a fitting result for a well-fought series. To be honest, yes, I'm pretty happy today. 25 days of enthralling cricket and you could say edge of a seat thriller in the last one. But for bad light and a bit of rain on day 4, otherwise we would have had a result on day 4 itself. Having said that, I would just like to, put my finger on a couple of points. As I mentioned in the last show, talking about those small moments and passages of play, which England played better. And that's why they were sitting in a position of 2-1 before the 5th test match. And to be honest, I was just going through a small, it was not a meme actually. It was put out by Dinesh Karthik, the prediction before the start of the series. People like Michael Vaughan, Graham Swan, Nazir Hussain, Atherton, they all had their say, and most of them said that it was in favor of England. It could be 4-1, it could be 3-2, whatever. But Dinesh Karthik was the only guy who predicted a 2-all result, which came in, and a fantastic result actually. A great advertisement for Test match cricket, all the games going into day 5, as I already said. But had India, in hindsight, seized those small moments, I think it would have been a 4-1 result in favor of India. A great fight back and a draw in Manchester. 3-1 should have been in India's favor. But having said that, it's a fantastic result for a young captain. Mind you, nobody is talking about the long IPL we had. A 2-month, 2.5-month IPL, playing totally a different brand of cricket, white ball cricket. And then, just with a 10-day break, coming to England, on a 5 test match series at the beginning of the WTC cycle, which was very, very important for India. And a team undergoing transition, as we already know, losing out on 3 stalwarts in the last 6 to 8 months. Ashwin, followed by Rohit Sharma, and then by Virat Kohli. A tremendous effort by the young Indian unit. No words can be used or adjectives to describe the way they put up a brilliant show. End of it, an apt result, 2-all for the first Anderson-Tendulkar trophy. No better result than this for a very, very well hard-fought, keen series.
Yeah, you just mentioned about Dinesh Karthik, and he came for the post-match to translate for the English viewers. We could see that smile when the first question was asked to Siraj. He spoke in English, so Karthik was just holding the mic. But when he began to answer the second question in Hindi, you could see the smile on Dinesh Karthik, and he said, "Yes, I'm not here just to hold the mic." So he's someone, and yes, and he did quite a decent job of translating Hindi into English. Dinesh Karthik has been fantastic with his comments. But yes, you also mentioned about the small moments in the series that went on to make a big, big statement. I just want to add here one small incident, but then it was a big, big moment. Mohammad Siraj and that catch of Harry Brook on the 4th day. It was not that brute force that the shot was hit, that it could push the bowler or push the fielder a step or 2 back. It was an aerial catch. He held it nicely, but then He just stepped went one step behind, stepped on the rope, and that was a six. What could it have done to the end result of the match? Thankfully, it was Siraj who again came back on fifth morning and did the damage, won the match for India. So all's well that ends well. What did you think of that catch of Siraj stepping on the boundary line? Did you think the match was gone from India's hand?
Not really. I wouldn't say it was out of India's grasp, because that was a point in time when Siraj had bowled a long 8 over spell and had just walked off the field for about 10-15 minutes. And immediately when he walked back and was standing on the fine leg boundary, obviously, his concentration was not fully on. It was the first ball when Brook tried to hook that ball. And yes, we could make out through the facial expression and the body language of Siraj, he couldn't look into the eye of Prasid. And post that, the sort of carnage Harry Brook unleashed. At one point in time, everybody thought the game was slipping away from India. And that partnership of 190 odd and 211 balls set the ball rolling for England. Having said that, I've been very critical of the pitches that have been doled out in this whole series. I think this test match literally had a surface which normally one would associate with when you tour England, or for a viewer who's watching test match cricket in England. So the pitch had a lot of juice in it even till the fifth day morning. And mind you, it was just a matter of just a wicket or two at that point in time when India had to just claw its way back. And mind you, hats off to the Indian side post that lapse when they came back in the second session. I think their body language certainly didn't dip. And, I think that's where the self-belief, they held themselves together. Yes, a tough pill to swallow after dropping a catch. I think, seeing Harry Brook score boundaries at will. There were so many boundary balls dished out, and that was a time when the Indian bowling attack also looked a bit clueless, though there was a lot of juice in the pitch to offer. But having said that, the sort of mental comeback Siraj made was something phenomenal. I think that was a very, very crucial moment in the game. As you said, end of it, the result shows that it all went India's way.
And Siraj seems to be, people talk about his lion-hearted efforts. Every ball that he bowls, he gives his not just 100%, but more than 100%, over after over, spell after spell, match after match. You think he has got enough credit because he is one who has, like everybody mentions, the last man standing in the series? Not just this series, he has played the entire 5 tests in Australia, played almost the entire IPL, gone to England, played all the 5 test matches, and still, if there is a test match starting tomorrow, he is ready there first to pick up the ball and ready to bowl any number of overs. How would you describe Siraj and his and the way that he is made of?
Look, when he spoke to DK, I think on day 4 after the test game, or day 3, I don't remember. He said that his passion was to come out, play for the country, and he wants to give more than his 100%. And rest, he says, the results will follow. So that's how he's made of, and I've seen quite a bit of him in domestic. He's a guy who's been a workhorse, and he spearheaded the Hyderabad fast bowling attack. You mentioned about the credit. Many a times, a lot of people go unnoticed, and typically what in your journalistic language we called as unsung heroes. So it's always a team which is made of some stars, and a guy who is actually a shining star on the side never gets mentioned or noticed. As you said, a full stint of IPL, hardly any break, comes back, bowls more than 1,000 balls in this 5 test match series, doesn't miss a single game. Having noticed this, there's been a lot of criticism going around now saying that Bumrah picking and choosing test matches, not being available for this 5th test match where it was the best surface for a fast bowler to bowl. Yes, when people talk about workload management, now how is this Indian team managing the workload management of Siraj? 5 test matches on the trot he's played. And the other guy who played all the 5 test matches but couldn't get to bowl in the second innings because of a dislocated shoulder was Chris Wokes. It's not an easy job to run in ball after ball and It's not just, Siraj's military medium who bowls at 125, 130. He's clocking 135 plus on a regular basis, and he's out there every single ball in the face of the batter. In fact, a testament to his achievements in the series has been from Joe Root. He's used the word saying he's a warrior. He said, I love the bloke, I love his aggression, and I love to compete against somebody like him. I mean, what better compliment would you get from the world's number one batter? And in fact, today, Harry Brook also mentioned the same, saying that he acknowledged the tremendous performance of Mohammad Siraj. I think it's high time, it's about the same media, which always talks about the superstars. And mind you, bowlers are never given the credit what a batter is given. Like you saw, the man of the series. Typically in England, it's two man of the series that's been given, one from the visiting side, one from the home side. It was again Shubman Gill for his 700 odd runs he got. So, I mean, bowlers are hardly given credit in modern day cricket. It's just a batter's game. I mean, Herculean task. I mean, his heart is bigger than the size of his body. That's the sort of passion he has, and he wears the India colors and the cap on his head. I think he has only one single minded devotion. That is, he has to come, bowl for his country, deliver for his country. Hats off to this man. And as I said, unsung hero. He certainly deserves more accolades and more credit for whatever he's achieved in his international career so far.
You just mentioned about he's not just a medium pacer, but the last wicket that he took of Gus Atkinson, I somewhere saw that it was at 143 kilometers per hour. So you can imagine he's not just a military medium pacer. He has got the pace, he has got that will. And I saw an interesting statistics by ace statistician Mohandas Menon. I'm sure you would also have seen that. Mohammad Siraj with Bumrah in the side playing together, and Mohammad Siraj alone spearheading the Indian bowling attack without Jasprit Bumrah. It is 25 test matches with Bumrah. The win percentage is 40%. Without Bumrah, Siraj in test matches, the win percentage is 75%. So that speaks about Siraj wanting to lead the bowling attack and ready to take spearhead the Indian bowling attack. So that's some interesting statistics. And what an apt end. We saw him lose that wicket in the third test match, India losing very narrowly, and the catch. But then he was the man who nailed it on the final day, taking 3 of the 4 wickets. To me, aptly the man of the match. Yes, he was. But to me, yes, he is also the player of the series. India's player of the series, because you mentioned about, Shubman Gill got it, but the pitches were mostly batting friendly. But the pitch at the Oval, and to pick 20 odd wickets, including 9 in the 5th test match, the others in the first 4 on batting friendly, it needs some effort. So Siraj is my player of the series. Full stop.
Absolutely. I think, percentages, I've been going through this for quite some time now, and Bumrah figuring in along with Siraj and India not winning. That could just be a coincidence. But having said that, I think the heart this man has got, and mind you, he handled a pretty inexperienced fast bowling duo along with him. To me, I found that Akashdeep was not 100% fit and not looking at his best. And Prasidh was under a lot of fire after the first 2 test matches. And mind you, a big mention to Prasidh also. Lion-hearted spell in both the innings. He ran in and really bowled quick. And I think consistently, his slowest ball must have been 138. And he was consistent there at 140 plus. And I have seen this uh, young guy, as a schoolboy, blossomed into a fine fast bowler now. I think it's not about proving the critics wrong. I mean, putting up such a stellar performance under pressure, under fire after not having done well in the first 2 test matches, making a comeback in a decider and pulling it off with, a magnificent long spells of bowling in both the innings. I think Prasidh along with Siraj, were magnificent in this test match. I think they were the 2 key guys who put India, at this par score of 2-all and cross the line in this final test match.
Yes, definitely. Prasidh Krishna, we all thought should have played more in Australia, but then in England, he did play. But what do you tell about him being expensive and his economy rate is not something which is ideal for a test series, going at around 5 and over, sometimes 6? How do you address that?
I think the issue was, as I said, what you expect in England, what we saw in the last test match at the Oval. When the ball was pitched up, we did see the ball swing. There was a lot of lateral movement. It was because of the weather condition plus the nature of the pitch. I think Prasidh somewhere missed out in the first two test matches. And mind you, there was a game plan for him. And the management and the captain, Gill, told him that he's going to bounce batters out. And unfortunately, he went for runs bowling short in the first two test matches. And as you mentioned, yes, he should have played much more. And I firmly believe he should have played at Lords. And having said that, but the comeback he made, and certainly, it would have been a great learning curve for him. He would have been wiser, when he sits back after the celebrations, which they richly deserve. When he's on the flight back to India, he certainly will have a chat with Siraj, pick up something from him, try to find out what lens he bowled. He would reflect upon what he's done also. And certainly, there'll be a spring and a stride when we see him bowl next. Because it's all about different conditions you play in, and you have to adapt to that quickly, which somebody like a Bumrah or a Siraj can do. Very early days for Prasidh. Yes, he's a sort of a bowler who's got speed on his side, somebody who's that sort of back of line bowler who can hit the deck hard. But once you hit the deck hard and there's no lateral movement, it becomes a free hit. That's where he struggled a bit in the first two test matches. But this final test match, he was awesome. I mean, mind you, within his first few years in Test cricket, the sort of composure he showed, that was something phenomenal. I mean, this is all, this calmness, this composure which comes to the table is a reflection of what these boys do, for those 2 months in IPL. Those massive crowds, the pressure they face, they are able to handle that. It becomes that much easier when they come to red ball cricket to handle that pressure. Having said that, execution, both I think Siraj you spoke about, Prasidh also was on top of his bowling in this test match.
You see, somebody like Venkatesh Prasad of the past, not just the height, but also his skills and swings and all that.
I mean, I wouldn't, relate that to Venki because Venki was, a tall guy, never bowled in excess of 135s. He was more of a guy in condition, swung the ball, and he got the ball to jag around. It was more of the steep bounce Venki got. And Prasidh is not in that mode. Prasidh is express. Prasidh is a true fast bowler who can bowl, consistent 140 plus for you. So comparison is a bit tough. It's only the height and the place where they hail from. But yes, an outstanding game for Prasidh. We only hope that he continues this rich vein of form in the days to come by. And again, mind you, India has a five-test match series when they tour Australia early next year. Touchwood, fit boys. It would be a real challenge for the Aussies.
Our bowlers won the match for India, taking 20 wickets. What about the batsmen? And looking at this entire series, India seemed to be batting very well in the second innings than in the first, and that was the case in this final test match also. And so pleasing to see was Akashdeep scoring his maiden test 50 and also his highest first class score. And Yashasvi Jaiswal finishing the series with 100 just the way he started in the first innings of this series. Could India have done better in the first innings at the Oval and also in the previous test matches?
Certainly, yes, even in this test match where India was sitting pretty, I think, yes, they got some real good balls. Jadeja, Washington Sundar, Jurel. So all these guys got out. And yes, 450 was on the for the taking, but it didn't happen. Having said that, remarkable 100 and a turnaround from Yashasvi Jaiswal finishing on a high. And he's somebody who's a flamboyant player, somebody who's very similar on the lines of Rishabh Pant. He backs his game, he backs his gut saying that, you need to play shots. And yes, odd time when he gets out, people will be critical of the shot he plays, but when it comes off, there's no better sight in cricket. Well, KL Rahul, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Jadeja, the top four run getters in the series, mind you, and the top wicket taker in the series, Mohammad Siraj. But still, would you buy the scoreline of 2 all? I think that's how Test cricket has panned out. Yes, having said that, doing something different always, in hindsight is easier to say. But the sort of resolve they showed, the fighting capability, mind you, accepting the two experienced guys in the side, that of KL Rahul and Jadeja. And a word of appreciation for KL, just not for his outstanding batting, but for his senior statesman, abilities in the series. He was the man always around next to Shubman Gill, providing him the right kind of inputs and advice. Because Jadeja always used to be manning the outfield. So KL has been, somebody who's provided that senior statesmanly sort of stature in the dressing room and on the field. And with his experience, the third tour to England, I think his insights and inputs to all the youngsters has been of great value. And testament is the end result.
Right. And Karun Nair, when he ought to have scored more in the previous test matches, he got one more test match, the final one. He got a good 60 odd runs, but when we all thought that he could make it big the next morning, that's when the Indian first innings almost collapsed. When we all thought of 350, 400 was on the cards, it was just about 200 plus. How would you rate Karun Nair in this particular test match? And do you think he is there for the future test matches for India?
It's been a mixed bag for Karun. Just a 50, I think he's got 200 odd runs in the 4 test matches he's played, 8 innings, and he looked brilliant in the first innings at the Oval. He handled the moving ball, the bounce extremely well. Now, people were talking about a 75 not out on at the end of day in 2016 in Chennai and went on to make a brilliant triple hundred. Everybody, were talking on those lines. For me, it was like weathering the storm in the first hour, which he failed to. So yes, overall, he's got out to some very good balls, barring a ordinary shot in the first outing in the first innings in Headingley. But otherwise, he's got starts, but somehow he was not able to convert that into big scores. Now, coming to whether Karun is there in the loop for the larger picture in the future. Well, Karun is 33, Sai Sudarshan is 23. If you look at investing, you're going to invest in future. And the next series, if I'm correct, is sometime in October when India plays at home against the West Indies. And whether India would have the luxury of playing both Karun and Sai Sudarshan in home conditions. And mind you, certainly India will not play three seamers here. They'll go in with two fast bowlers and three spinners. It's only a matter of time because when they come back, there's a Dulip Trophy that's going to happen at the end of August. How many of them would make themselves available and be in touch with the game? Playing the red ball format also will be a question. I can't wear a selector's hat as of now and say whether Karun is there in the loop in the upcoming series. But what the demands of the management are looking into it, he showed a lot of promise. Will they invest in him? Given a choice, maybe give him a home run of 2 test matches because he's been a long derby horse playing a lot of domestic cricket in India, and he knows the Indian conditions really well. It's at the back of his mind. So tempted to give him an opportunity in the home series, but there's still a lot of time for that.
And finally, to wrap up this review of the old test match, Shubman Gill and his captaincy. Not many gave him the chance, or not gave him many gave him what it was due for a first series captain. 2-2, apt result, but like you mentioned, it should have been 3-1 in favor of India. How would you sum up Shubman Gill's captaincy? We were discussing about him being somebody who is reactive and not proactive in the earlier episodes of the Kumbi-Gikku Show. Your overall assessment of Shubman Gill in this series and also in particular this Oval Test match?
Start with as a batter, I would give him a heads up. Fantastic performance as a batter. As I mentioned upfront in the I think preview of the first test match, saying that he's somebody who's not going to get bogged down in his batting because of the weight of captaincy on his shoulder. Captaincy, mixed bag. Still a learning process for him. He's going to get only better by this 25 days of hard-fought test match cricket. Uh, Sometimes he blew hot, sometimes cold, especially certain moments in this game. Second innings, when the Brook Root partnership was happening, I thought he was lost. He was, very defensive, having defensive field sets and waiting for things to happen. And also, one more thing is going in with three seamers and one seamer, as I mentioned, Akashdeep not looking 100% fit. Somewhere, he has to realize and he has to start uh, giving more confidence to two all-rounders in the side in terms of Jadeja and Washington Sundar. 8 overs of spin in the second innings when England batted.
Mm.
I think to slow down the game, to get pace off the ball, to just get a change for a small period. I think that is an area where he's not been really, you know, on the dot by putting his spinners more into use. And mind you, with limited opportunities, Washi did really well whenever he got a ball. Though Jadeja didn't was not among wickets, he also was at his defensive best. So that's an area where I found him a bit wanting in terms of not being, really confident enough to use his spinners. But otherwise, as I said, great learning tour for him as a captain, and he certainly only can get better from here. A good home series win here in home conditions, and then traveling to Australia, that would put him really to test there as a captain. But overall, yes, as a batter, a fantastic tour. As a captain, a mixed bag. But of course, he would certainly take this result at any given point in time. A 2-all result, the first Test match series tour for him, a fantastic result.
Certainly, India had two spinners at the Oval. England did not have. They went in with four seamers and had depended on the left arm spin of Jacob Bethel. But Chris Wokes and his broken arm in the first innings still coming out to bat, or at least give Gus Atkinson the part, the stand. He was not required to face any single delivery, but then Chris Wokes and something that was similar to Rishabh Pant coming out to bat with a broken toe in the previous Test match. Acts of bravery, we have seen everything in this series. Acts of bravery, individual heroics, and some entertainment in the form of Akashdeep putting his arms around Ben Duckett, sending him off, and other things. So overall, a fantastic series to remember. Your closing comments, Sri?
Extremely happy for this young Indian side, Shubman Gill and his boys. 2-all, a fantastic result, though I'd have been much happier with the 3-1 result, but I don't want to be greedy. And overall, a fantastic advertisement for Test match cricket. People have been talking for long now, saying that Test match cricket is on the downhill, it's on the slide, because there's so much of franchisee T20 cricket happening. And a lot of international players are doing away with their central contracts and they're touring around the world and traveling to play in the franchisee leagues. But this was a testimony that Test cricket is not dying. I think to an extent, India, England, India, Australia, uh, the Ashes, when India plays South Africa or New Zealand, I think these series are still keeping Test match alive. Overall, a fantastic Test match series. I thoroughly enjoyed 24 days and about an hour of the final day's cricket. If a Test match is going into the fifth day on every single game into the last session, that means Test match is kicking and alive.
Certainly, one series to remember for a long, long time. And as much as you thoroughly enjoyed watching it, I too thoroughly enjoyed watching it and also listening to you on the Kumbi-Gikku Show. Your fantastic comments, as it has always been, and may it continue. Thank you very much, Shri, for your fantastic thoughts, review, and analysis. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Kumbi-Gikku Show will be back at the earliest, and we will do, hopefully, more and more of this. Thank you, Shri.
Thank you, Jiku.
Bye-bye.